Please welcome Executive Vice President, Sales, Financial Services, Salesforce, Steve Dobbs.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Financial Services Keynote. Thank you all for joining us here in person and to the thousands of people joining us on Salesforce Plus. I am so excited to be back at Dreamforce with all of you. And as I was preparing for this year's keynote, I couldn't help but reflect on what an incredible year we have had. When you think about it, it was just 12 months ago that we actually introduced Agentforce to the market. And while we were all, I think, debating the potential of AI 12 months ago, I'm now seeing it embedded in every part of how the financial services industry operates. Financial services firms around the world are accelerating their adoption of this technology and delivering real value to the enterprise. And none of that comes without incredible partnerships. So I want to take just a minute and thank all of the trailblazers in this room for your incredible partnership. I want to thank you for taking the time to invest with us. Thank you, yes. I want to thank you for taking the time to invest with us here at Dreamforce this week and with me this morning. Now, I have an incredible job. I get to talk to customers almost every single day. And whether I'm speaking with a banker, an insurer, a wealth or asset manager, you've consistently told me that you want help driving growth. You want to take that client that has a single checking account into a deeper relationship, one where you can earn their credit card business, their mortgage business, or their retirement savings account. And you want every investor, whether they invest $5 million with you or $5,000 with you, to get world-class service. You want service experience so incredible that you build loyalty. And you have to do this with trust and compliance, because one compliance slip in the financial services industry can erode decades of trust. Now, these aren't new goals and objectives for us as an industry. I mean, probably far from it. We've been chasing growth and service excellence for decades now. But the blocker, the barrier to that growth has always been our workforce capacity. Take the relationship manager, for example, who spends as much as 40% of their time manually preparing for meetings rather than deepening client relationships. Or the insurance adjuster, who's buried in mountains of paperwork when their clients need them most, after a fire or a car accident. The reality is that opportunities to build and deepen relationships are slipping through the cracks. And when we see the opportunity to drive growth, it's challenging to add headcount quickly enough. And when we do, our growth objectives are eaten by cost. The reality is that our employees, our people care deeply, but they simply can't scale. Now, the exciting part is that for the first time ever, we have a real solve for this capacity constraint, the Agentic Enterprise. You've all heard a lot about the Agentic Enterprise this week. From Mark in his keynote and from all of the keynotes. But this morning, we're going to unpack what the Agentic Enterprise actually looks like in financial services. This is a world where humans and agents work together, where those roadblocks that I talked about a minute ago are no longer roadblocks, but launching pads for experience and growth. And the reason is because the work, that busy work that's always gotten in the way of growth, is exactly what agents are designed to do. In the financial services Agentic Enterprise, humans are finally allowed the time to build and deepen relationships, while agents handle the busy work. Humans are empowered to earn trust, while agents tackle compliance in the back end. And humans are enabled to bring empathy in the moments that matter most when agents bring scale. Now, this is a significant transformation for AI technology and goes way beyond simple summarizations being performed by copilots. No, these agents actually do real work. They take action on behalf of your employees. And they finally unlock the one thing that has always been our constraint: human capacity. So that's what it looks like to be an agentic enterprise in financial services. Limitless growth, anticipatory service, and uncompromising compliance. Now, when the topic of AI comes up in our discussions, I think everyone is excited about the potential that we see. But many of us are cautious, and we're right to be cautious. This is the financial services industry, and we need to move carefully. However, I want you to realize that the shift is actually already underway in our industry. Best practices are forming today, not later, as firms just like you are accelerating their adoption of agentic AI. As a matter of fact, in the financial services industry alone, we've seen the Agentforce agents that you all have built in production increase by an average of 105% every single month this year. Workforce resistance is fading away, and ROI is shifting from being about cost and efficiency to being about trust, compliance, and growth. This is a paradigm shift for our industry. And the firms that are moving quickly with the right guardrails and the right partnerships are gaining material competitive advantage. Firms that wait risk being outpaced in differentiation and experience by their competitors. Now, this wouldn't be a Dreamforce keynote without some incredible trailblazers here to share their stories with all of you. And in a few minutes, I'm going to invite the CEO of PenFed and the Chief Digital Officer of Sammons Financial to the stage to talk about how they're accelerating their own agentic transformation with Agentforce and delivering these incredible results. Now, the final question, the question I probably hear more than any other question when the topic of AI comes up, is why Salesforce for agentic AI? And it's a fair question. You know, when every other AI vendor on the planet is knocking on your door, why would you partner with Salesforce for agentic AI? You've, I'm sure, all experimented with point solutions, maybe even done some large language model DIY projects. So why Salesforce? And to answer that question, I'd like to welcome the GM of Agentforce 360 for Financial Services, my friend Aaron Agrios, to the stage. Aaron?
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. So Steve left us with a pretty big question. Why Salesforce for your AI? And the answer to that question doesn't start with us. It starts with you and your customers. For the last 26 years, you've trusted us with your most important assets, your customers and their data. And since the very beginning, it's been Salesforce's belief that every great company puts the customer at the center of everything that you do. So as you think about your AI transformation, you want your AI to come from that same DNA. You want your AI to be customer-centric. You heard Mark talk about in the keynote yesterday that the Customer 360 has been completely agentified, so much so that we changed the name to Agentforce 360. But this isn't just a generic platform. This is built for your industry. It's purpose-built. It's Agentforce 360 for financial services. And that distinction matters. It matters because everywhere I go, I see this statistic from MIT. 95% of your projects are failing. And as I was preparing for this keynote, I was thinking about that. And you know what? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it fail. I am seeing it in the work that we are doing. I'm seeing a tremendous amount of success in the projects that we are doing together on our platform. You heard Steve talk about PenFed and Sammons. They're standing up these agents in days, not months. They're industry pre-built agents that are built for your industry. We have got a credible amount of momentum. Another example is the ABSA Bank. We spent a lot of time with ABSA Bank. They're using our banking service agent, and check out the results. 88% faster turnaround time on transaction disputes and 2 times the contact center productivity. Those are incredible statistics. Why are these projects different? What makes these customers get so much success from AI? They are using Agentforce 360 for financial services as the backbone in their organization for this transformation. And this platform is different. It's industry first. It's open and interoperable. And it's AI that's embedded in the flow of your work. So let's talk about this. In order for your AI to deliver these results, it needs context. It needs to understand your customers and their data and your policies and your procedures. And we've spent the last 30 releases, yes, I've been up here for 30 releases talking to you about these things. Hopefully you're not sick of me yet. We've been building this into the platform, deep data models and business processes. And so when we started building agents, we didn't throw all that work away. We built on top of it. We have a library of pre-built industry agents. And I was talking with some of you today, and you were saying, thank you. Thank you for offering us a starting point with guardrails so that we can start implementing this quickly. Some of you might be saying, not all of my data and business processes sit on this platform. And you're right, we know that. But from the very beginning, the platform has been open and interoperable. We can fit within your architecture. And this is a really important point, because you're going to have agents in Salesforce, you're going to have agents on your other systems, and you can use things like MuleSoft Agent Fabric to create a cohesive ecosystem of these agents. And when it comes to your data sitting in your core banking systems or your policy administration systems, you can use Data 360, the artist formerly known as Data Cloud, to bring in your structured and unstructured data into the platform. And the last thing I'll say is that AI that sits outside of your core systems or where the work happens doesn't provide the right guardrails, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So AI that is embedded into the flow of your work, it sits where your teammates work and in the channels that your customers engage you, is incredibly important. Check out the screen here. So this is the advisor workstation, and you can see I'm going into the household, and I've got my meeting center. I'm preparing for the meeting. I'm not having to go to other systems to get this information. It's all right here. So I'm going to switch gears for a second. You heard Steve talk about the importance of data security and privacy and compliance in our industry. You wake up every single day talking about this, and so do we. You can see here, we've got a variety of different announcements on the slide here, all the way from data security and privacy with things like the Compliance Center, all the way through to the adaptive reasoning, which is a new kind of Atlas reasoning engine where we've added the ability to go from creative mode to deterministic mode. I'm going to focus in on Process Compliance Navigator. This is business process compliance. It's compliance built into the flow of your work, and it's going to help you make your agents more predictable, more deterministic. And so I'm excited to announce that in November, we are going to be launching Process Compliance Navigator. It's going to help you bring your compliance controls into the flow of work. So I'm actually going to show you this in a demo. Please welcome Marilee and Steph. They're going to help me with this demo. Ladies, let's pull it up. So there are hundreds of regulations that are happening in our industry, and they often come in formats like this. Long PDF files that your teams are manually having to crawl through and manually extract these clauses. But now, with Process Compliance Navigator, I can quickly upload this document and use our pre-built AI to extract those clauses that you can see on the right here. So one of the things that you tell me is that you've got clause libraries sitting in your GRC system, you've got your compliance controls sitting in another system, and you've got your business processes in Salesforce, and you have a very fragmented view. But check this out. Here's an example of a business process, loan origination. I can quickly add the compliance controls, the regulation clauses, and the policies so that I can see that I've got the guardrails that I need for this business process. Implementing these processes, we're not going to start pulling out a bunch of code to do this. We are going to use our low-code, no-code tools like Flow to quickly embed those controls right in the business process. You can see here, compliance check, KYC, right in that loan origination process. You're going to see a couple of demos later on where the users are going to invoke a control and it's going to show up. And so I'm kind of showing you behind the scenes here. So this is going to help keep your humans following those guardrails. But what about those agents? Here we are in Agent Builder, and I'll direct your attention right to the middle of the screen. We created an action, and we referenced that business process with that control right in the flow of work. So this is one process. You have hundreds of business processes. And one of the other things that you told me is it takes your teams months to prepare for a regulatory exam and to demonstrate compliance. Check out this dashboard. This is real-time compliance. This is the ability for you to get a real-time view of your compliance landscape across your organization. This is going to save your teams hours and months sometimes of preparation time to meet with those regulators. So that's Process Compliance Navigator. Thank you, Marilee and Steph. That was a great demo. So you heard Steve and I talk about what it takes to become an agentic enterprise. Let's hear from a leader who's doing it. Please welcome to the stage James Schenk, the CEO of PenFed. James. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we've talked a little bit about PenFed today, but I think it would be really helpful for the audience to understand who is PenFed.
So PenFed is the third largest federal credit union in the United States. We have about 3 million members and about 30 billion in assets. And to put that in perspective, there's 4,000 credit unions we compete against each and every day. And about a decade ago, we set out on a mission to do 80% of all of our transactional volume on the web or a mobile device, 15% in our call centers, and 5% in branches. So we hate brick and mortar. With that said, we've reached 98% of our transactional volume today is done remotely.
Wow, that's incredible. Amazing. So we work very closely with your teams, and you are on this fast path to becoming an agentic enterprise. I think last time I talked to you, you had 12 agents. I'm pretty sure you're going to have many, many more by the time we even leave this stage. How are you becoming this agentic credit union?
Well, let me first explain our business. We have 4,000 credit union competitors, 4,000 bank competitors. So every day I got to wake up hungry and running in order to compete against 8,000 because my 3 million members can walk out the door any day to get another car loan, deposit their money somewhere else. So it's a 1,000-year-old business. I borrow money from this half of the room, and I lend it out to this half of the room, and I make money in the middle. 8,000 of us do the same thing. So I have to do it better. I have to control my costs, reduce my total costs to provide you, the member, more money on your deposits, and charge you less on your loans. So we set out this version because I was an old Wall Street guy years ago in my mind, and there's a guy named Gordon Gekko. Everybody remember Wall Street in the 80s? There's this great scene in which he's talking to Teldar Paper's board of directors. And they lost $110 million that year. And he's talking about these 33 vice presidents getting paid $200,000 a year. And when he studied what they did, they just passed paperwork between them. Bureaucracy. Bureaucracy kills any organization. So at PenFed, we wanted to eliminate bureaucracy. When I became CEO 11 years ago, we had 400 business partners in our IT deck. Now, I'd be spending all my time, and all my VPs would be spending time passing bureaucracy paperwork and not driving the business forward. We partner with Salesforce. We're down to 12 partners. Salesforce is in my branches, my call centers, my mobile app, and my web. It all runs on Salesforce. Why? It allows me to move faster. And I'm sure there's some senior leadership from some of the big money center banks here. It allows me to move faster within a decision cycle. So us becoming an agentic enterprise is about having every one of my employees embrace the change that if we can drive down total costs, we don't lose them, we allow us to scale and grow on this same platform, pay them more, give them better benefits, but more importantly, take perfect care of our members, which fuels our growth. So that's where we're going with Agentic Enterprise. How are we getting there?
How are you getting there? You've got agents. Like I said, you've got 12 agents. I think you actually might be at 18 agents now. I don't know.
About 18.
Yes, tell me about some of them.
I got inspired literally in May of this year as far as really using agents to drive the business, to transform it materially. We like to say positive impact at scale. I went to the World Tour in New York, and I saw this demo by Saks about customer service, and I said, we got to get this at PenFed. So what we did first, we call it crawl, walk, and run. So first, we just used an agent to stream our IT bridge call. So when an executive or I jumped on a call where we're having an issue, I didn't have to interrupt the CTO or the CDO or the CISO and say, hey, what's going on? I could read the summary real time of how the call in progress was going on the bridge to see what's happening. And it helped free up time for the focus on the issues at hand. And then we totally used an agent to rebuild our IT service desk. All the onboarding, all the rate resets for our password resets for our 2,300 employees is all done by agents now. 75% of all the work that was done manually in the past is done with an agent. And then we gave our collectors better technology, using AI to better reach the members that are having problems, give them all the information at their fingertips so they can have the empathy and work with that member to help us pay us back. And so those techniques were working. The next step in our walk phase is in the fourth quarter, which is all within 7 months of the world tour, we're going to roll out conversational AI across our call centers. We take 10,000 calls a day. The first thing we did, we used AI to summarize the call where the human stays in the loop. The MSR, it used to take 3 or 5 minutes to try to summarize that 5-minute call. Now it's done automatically. They look at it, yep, that's what we talked about, accepts it, goes into our record. We save 30,000 minutes a day of labor, $3 million a year by using that technology. And now everything behind the pin, everything behind the scenes is digitized. Now we're just putting conversation this quarter in front of our agents to better serve our members and better help our employees do what they do, work one-on-one where they need to have that positive impact.
Those statistics are actually
You can tell I like this. I really like
I know. Ladies and gentlemen, he could have the stage to himself. Lastly, you talked to me a couple times about guardrails to go faster, right? And so I know you've had some challenges and you've kind of put these guardrails in place. What's next for you as you continue to move so quickly into this agentic world?
For us to be successful competing against all of our competitors and providing great value to our members, I need every employee, whether they're there one day or have a tenure of 40 years, to understand that this technology, this platform, this capability of being an agentic enterprise is not going to cost them their jobs. It's going to allow me to pay them more, give them good health care benefits, good work-life balance as we scale. So I can run 6 million members as easily as 3 million members with this core team of employees if we add value to you. So that's the future for us, to make sure I pay you more on your deposits, charge you less on your loans, and make sure my employees are doing intelligent work. And I think one of the terms yesterday, I don't want them doing donkey work. My agents are going to do that.
Excellent. Awesome job. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Erin.
Really, really appreciate it. Ladies,
Thank you.
Gentlemen, give a hand for James. I mean, that's incredibly inspiring, right? I mean, those statistics, they don't lie. I mean, James, it's incredible work. Congratulations to you and the PenFed team. Once again, it's absolutely incredible. All right, we are going to continue moving here. You heard me talk a little bit about compliance. You heard of what it takes to become an agentic enterprise. One of these pillars that you say is really important to you is growth. How do I grow my business? And to tell us more about that, I'd love to welcome to the stage Kelly Azam.
So much, Erin. All right, Dreamforce, let's get right into it. Right now, trillions of dollars sit on the sidelines, waiting for a signal to flood back into the market. The next home buying and refi boom isn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Now, did anybody here try and get a mortgage in 2020 or 2021? Yeah, do you remember what that experience was like? It was chaos, and it took forever. I remember it. I was a loan officer at that time, completely buried in a loan pipeline I just couldn't keep up with. Leads slipped away. My client relationships became transactional. I was in survival mode. But this wasn't unique to lending. When the market shifts, the entire industry feels it. And it's about to happen again. My question to you is, are you ready this time? Ready to unlock limitless growth? Well, how do you win? You win where you've always won, on the customer relationship. You have their data. You have their history. You know them. But you need help. You need your teams focused on delivering those exceptional client experiences that drive growth, not buried in manual work. You need that work to go to AI. This is your second chance to tap into the mass affluent market, to build loyalty. And we're going to show you how we can help you with the latest innovation from Salesforce. Just in time for this next lending boom, we're redefining how loan origination is done with new capabilities in digital lending. These help your teams bring profitable loan products to market faster so they can focus on what truly matters, building relationships. And we know those relationships don't end at loan closing. That's why we're announcing new agentic actions for client engagement. These go beyond the simple summaries of a co-pilot and surface insights your teams may have missed, drive cross-sell opportunities, and actually move deals forward. Anybody curious what kind of cross-sell opportunities agents can help with? Steph and Marilee, let's show them. Today, we're going to meet our banker. Her day no longer starts with a maze of leads and guesswork. It starts right here with a single actionable list of prioritized opportunities. Today, Rachel Morris is listed at the very top as a high priority contact. Let's go ahead and find out why. Our banker clicks into her profile. Now, there's a lot of really great information here, but let's focus up here in the corner. This is a predictive insight. It tells us that Rachel recently had a large deposit. That alone is interesting. It qualifies her for a private client relationship, but another connection has been made to Rachel's recent web activity, showing she's been using the bank's mortgage calculator this week. Data 360 and AI connected the what, the large deposit, with the why, her clear interest in buying a home. Our banker triggers her banking relationship agent to dig deeper. It provides context and suggests we schedule a meeting with Rachel to discuss her new banking relationship and her interest in a mortgage. Watch what happens the moment she clicks this button. The lead is auto-qualified and instantly converted to an opportunity. But it doesn't stop there. A Slack channel is assembled, bringing the right team together to work on this opportunity. Wait a minute. This isn't just a human team. This is a human and agentic team. We have our banker working side by side with our banking relationship agent and our new digital lending agent. But I want you to focus on this for a second. Before any data moved, our agent faced a compliance check right in the flow of work, just like Aaron told us it would. We needed to make sure Rachel was okay with us sharing her information across lines of business. Consent is verified. It's time for our digital lending agent to go to work. But before we move forward, I want you to think about your teams today. Are they buried in PDF documents, searching through bank statements line by line to identify transactions, or looking for that one risk factor that maybe lives on page 173? Probably. It's tedious manual work that must have you wondering, there has to be a better way. And there is. Our agent does it in seconds. It analyzes Rachel's bank statements, identifies her income, even sees that large deposit, and sources it back to an associated trust account and wealth. With that information, it's able to provide personalized loan product recommendations. Now, our banker's really excited about this, and she wants to give Rachel the best information possible. So she asked our agent, can you provide me some rates I can quote in my discussion with Rachel? And just like you train your teams, our agents have controls. It stops her. She's not a licensed mortgage loan originator, and guides her to stay in compliance. This is AI that respects regulations, the SAFE Act, and your trust framework. We see our appointment has been confirmed. This signals to our banking relationship agent to generate a meeting brief with talking points to really set up our banker for success in this conversation. Now we're gonna move forward in time a little bit. Our meeting with Rachel went great. She's upgraded to private client, and indeed she is interested in a mortgage. But the work doesn't end there. Our banker's meeting notes are handwritten on a piece of paper. And instead of having to squint through and try and figure out what that says and then type it up, she simply takes a picture and uploads it to Salesforce. The agent scans the notes and summarizes them. And this is where most AI stops, but not Agentforce. It picks up the baton and takes action. It updates the opportunity, generates follow-up tasks, and sends everything over to our mortgage loan originator. But your MLO, they don't just get a ping. They get the playbook. All of the investigative heavy lifting already handled. Now the MLO can focus on Rachel, on advising her and guiding her through her first home purchase. Because guess what? It probably won't be her last. And who do you want her to remember? Who do you want her to recommend? Your bank. This is how you do it. This is how you tap into the mass affluent market and build loyalty to win the entire financial relationship, not just the checking account. The next time she needs a car loan, a credit card, or a wealth advisor, you are her first and only call. This is how you unlock limitless growth. The question now becomes, how do you scale personalized and anticipatory service to that growing customer base? And to answer that question, I'd love to welcome my friend and colleague, Ahmed Zaman.
Righty, let's do it. Can we take a moment, by the way, and just get a round of applause for Kelly's sparkly shoes? I mean, like, come on, right? Steve, we gotta step this up a little bit. All right, well, you know, I'm with our customers on a daily basis at this stage, and I hear it pretty loud and clear. Growth can only scale as long as service keeps pace. Do you know that 50% of our customers will say that if they have a poor service experience, they'll leave an organization? That's not just about losing an account, right? It's about losing lost lifetime value. Now, don't get me wrong, things like a traditional transaction dispute, for example, make sense with self-service. But what if life just gets messy? What if a customer is worried about making their mortgage payment? They ultimately need help right now. They're looking for service and empathy to get ahead of the problem. So with that, we are incredibly excited to announce Agentforce Voice for financial services. Now, quick poll here. Yeah, we can clap for it, why not? Heck yeah. All right, quick poll here in the room. Who here has called into a service matter and had to wait on hold for hours? Yeah, same here. This eliminates the need for our customers to be queuing for hours. They get help immediately with our agent. And for our insurers out here, we're also incredibly excited to announce digital insurance claims management, all powered by our AI agent as well too. All of these innovations are meant for this industry, for financial services. Now, to talk a little bit about that innovation, I'd love to invite to the stage our friend, Aaron Witt, Chief Digital Officer at Sammons Financial Group. Welcome, man. How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So Aaron, first, just tell us a little bit about Sammons Financial Group.
Yeah, so Sammons Financial Group is the premier provider of life insurance, annuities, and wealth management products. And our mission is to empower futures and change lives.
Yeah. So you've gone through a pretty massive digital transformation recently. So just walk us through, how did you get that done and what was that like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're at the end of a 3-year journey where we consolidated 18 legacy platforms into one unified platform that's powering our contact center. And really what we did in that as we started was to use a capabilities-led process that allowed us to have the business actually lead the program and aligned our capabilities to the value that's realized by the platform for our business. And so in that way, the business was able to shape, reprioritize, and change plans as we went along the process, but it never really derailed our overall program. And so at the end of this year, we're going to begin the process of deprecating the remainder of those systems and moving forward with that one unified platform.
No, that's amazing. You know, it wouldn't be a Dreamforce if I didn't ask you about Agentic.
Of course.
So I know that you've scaled Agentic over to your service side, so I'd love to hear about that and why Salesforce.
Yeah, so, as we consolidated all of our data and built this 360, right? We have a policyholder 360, we have an agent 360. And what that allows us to do is develop context around the information that's needed to service those relationships. And so what we're really leaning into is using Agentforce and its proximity to that data to come in and provide automation for us to be able to allow some of the simple inquiries that our policyholders have to actually use agentic capabilities to answer those simple questions via the phone, right? The phone is where our customers meet us. And so by putting agentic AI with the data where the customers come and meet us, we've been able to lower costs on that capability by about 50% as we move forward, while also giving us a good solution for scaling into seasonal needs, as during tax season, we obviously have a lot more inquiries around some of those simple policy inquiries.
Oh, that's amazing. I know you haven't even stopped on the service side as well, too. You're an overachiever. You've also moved this over to your sales side as well, too. So I'd love to hear about that transformation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So our sales teams are concluding a pilot, and we're going to be rolling this into production. But what we're looking at is using Agentforce as a co-pilot for our sales folks when they're talking to our distribution partners to ensure that they're hitting the right points, right? So when they're on the phone, the co-pilot is up and it's guiding them. Are they talking about the right products? Are they talking about that new thing we just came out with? Are they talking about that new product feature that we're trying to advertise and promote in the marketplace? And so it's been great for us to allow that to continue to shape the conversations as we move forward. But also at the tail end of those conversations, what it's allowing us to do is automate all of the follow-up activities that need to occur to make sure that we keep that deep in relationship, right? So scheduling that follow-up meeting, writing that follow-up summary email, summarizing what happened in that interaction so that we can make sure that all that information is present and we can have our sales folks move on to the next relationship to continue to drive value and deepen those relationships with our distribution partners.
No, honestly, that is amazing to hear. And thank you for your partnership with Salesforce. I think once they inevitably put agentic in the dictionary, we'll have to put your face right up there with it, though. That's amazing. Thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. So you've heard me talk about it. You've heard Aaron talk about his transformation. Who's actually ready to see this stuff live? Yep, let's do it. Marilyn and Steph, you guys aren't off the hook just yet. All right. It happens in an instant. Sarah's world is turned upside down. A pipe's burst in her home, and she needs help immediately. This is the moment of truth for every single insurer in this room. She goes up to her insurance app, and she starts a conversation with an agent. Now, as she's describing all of this information to the agent, as you can see here when we type it in, Agentforce isn't just reading for text. It's reading for context. Now, as Agentforce and Sarah are discussing the issues that are happening in her home, we quickly realize that she needs more than just self-service. She needs a proactive outbound call to ensure she gets the speed and empathy that she needs in this moment. So why don't we actually just trigger that call, in fact, and let's get the service we need. All right, let's kick it off. Hello.
Hi, Sarah. This is Aura from Cumulus Insurance. I am so sorry you're dealing with such a stressful situation right now.
Yeah, it's terrible. A pipe's burst in my home, and I'm worried about my valuables.
Oh, that sounds awful. I just need a few details from you, and we will get you some help right away. I see here that your policy is active. I just need you to confirm the last 4 digits of your social security.
Yeah. Hold on. I don't need to be talking about my social security here on stage in front of everyone here. Can we just talk about how powerful of a moment that was? Sarah spoke to an agent, understood the fact that there was more than just having self-service at this moment. She needed speed and empathy. Agentforce then proactively started a call and was able to address all of those needs. Now, why don't we actually see how this was done? It's not just magic. This was all powered by Agentforce Builder. Now, inside of Agentforce Builder, there's more than just understanding context and rules. It's ultimately about verifying who Sarah is. Now, first, we can use that by voice analysis, then phone number verification. Now we need to actually understand if her policy is active. We can do so. And finally, we want to kick off that first notice of loss workflow to ensure that this coverage is actually active and is escalated to a claims supervisor. Now, once that's all done, we will actually want to see the view of a claims specialist. All of this rich data and information is ready for our claims specialist. But it's not just about what Sarah has to tell us, it's in fact what she doesn't have to. Now, if you recall from my call just now, I said the words, worry about my valuables. Well, Agentforce was able to detect, outside of Salesforce, a policy that Sarah has that covers a high-value painting in her home. This is the proactive service that we are looking for as customers, to ensure that we are always taken care of when we don't even know we need it. But we need more. We want to go ahead and ask Agentforce about all of the existing claims that have happened under Sarah's profile. Now, before, that would have taken ages, right? You're going through emails, you're going through content, you name it, right? Not anymore. Agentforce does that for you in seconds. Next, we want to make sure we're compliant. Are there any red flags? Are there any issues on this account? Have we submitted a bunch of claims recently? And luckily, in our case, we haven't. Sarah's a pretty good person, it seems like. We're actually able to dispatch the adjuster immediately. So why don't we actually pivot now over to a mobile device where our adjuster is out on the field? All of that rich data that we had just talked about is summarized right here for our adjuster. And he even has information about that high-value painting, so we can proactively service what Sarah ultimately needs right now, which is service and empathy and speed. But I get what you're all probably wondering, which is, great, this is a singular claim. I need to do this at scale. How can I get that done? Well, that's a Tableau moment. Our leadership is able to see in real time their entire operations so that you aren't stuck in static reports. Bottlenecks cannot appear anymore because you have everything you need right in front of you. This right here is the goal. This is how we scale empathetic service. Marilee and Steph, thank you so much for your guys' demo. You're finally off the hook. We're done with it now. All right. So, we started this morning with the challenge that Steve laid out, capacity. And what we've learned today is that with humans and agents working alongside one another, we can achieve limitless growth, anticipatory service, and uncompromising service. Dreamforce is all about learning from one another, and I hope you've enjoyed all of the amazing experiences thus far, and I hope you'll be coming to the product roadmap sessions happening later today with Aaron's organization, and tomorrow as well too. Check out the immersive experience with Kasha Bank that's happening inside of Agentforce City. Check out the amazing solution engineers in financial services, shout out to the SCs out here, and our demo booth area as well too. This is ultimately what we are looking for. This is the Agentic Financial Services Enterprise. Thank you everyone so much for your time. I very much appreciate it, and have an amazing Dreamforce.